Hello, Mastermind Gaming community, and in today's video, we are going to be diving deep into Pokemon Home on the Nintendo Switch. So basically, we're going to be looking at some of the features that you can do on the actual Switch itself. This does not include what you can do on the mobile version. This is only just to kind of cover and go over what you can actually do on just the Switch version itself. Now, there's not very much that you can actually do on the Switch version, which is kind of disappointing. I hope that they kind of allow you to do more things, because right now you can't really do a whole lot on the Switch, and I feel like you should be able to do more than what actually is possible right now. So diving in here, we have the Pokemon, where you can actually view your Pokemon, the Pokédex, so you can actually view the entire Pokédex in the Pokemon universe. You have a notebook, a move, points, and the options menu. If you go into the Pokemon, it'll ask you which game you'd like to play. You can either choose Pokemon Home, and if you choose Pokemon Home, this is going to allow you to access a couple other features a little bit easier, and it's also just going to let you organize your boxes, so it's a little bit of a cleaner workflow if you're trying to just keep your Pokemon Home organized, or if you just want to look at what you have at home and not actually what's in a game. Now I have Pokemon Sword, so if you click on Pokemon Sword, it'll ask if you'd like to connect to that game. And then once that loads your profile, you'll be able to see your Pokemon Home on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side will be your actual game PCs. So whatever you have in your boxes in-game will be on the right, and like I said, on the left will be Pokemon Home. Now it's important to note that if you see exclamation points near a Pokemon, that means that a move that it has is not available in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So basically, if you try to transfer that Pokemon, it will allow you to transfer it, no problem. However, the only issue is that if you try to use one of the moves that is banned, so if you look at Clefairy here, if I try to move Clefairy over and use her, Bestow and Wake Up Slap are two moves that aren't available in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you try to use them in-game, it will say this move is not available, it is recommended you unlearn this move. Now if you do unlearn this move, that means that you will never be able to relearn it as long as that Pokemon stays inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now that is not to say that those moves might not be released later, because they are releasing Pokemon in DLC, so that means that moves could be coming as well. And if moves come, then that means that some of these Pokemon might be able to learn those moves later. But as it stands right now, if you try to move those Pokemon over, you won't be able to use like 2 of the 4 moves for Clefairy here. So you'll have to actually go to the move tutor, have him forget the moves, and then have him relearn some moves that it can actually use in Pokemon Sword and Shield. If you see one of the ones that have a circle, like a red circle with a line through it, that means that Pokemon is not available in Pokemon Sword and Shield at this point, and that means that that Pokemon is pretty much essentially stuck in Pokemon Home at the moment, because the only 2 games you can transfer to are Pokemon Sword and Shield, so at the moment, you can't really do anything with them other than just view them here in Pokemon Home. It's pretty easy to move a Pokemon, so if you want to move like Qwilfish here over, all you gotta do is just select. You can check the summary, you can view markings, you can release them inside of Pokemon Home, or you can move them. You just pick them up and move them, you just drag them on over, and you find an empty spot for them. And then once you've done that and you've moved them over there, all you have to do is hit the start button, and then hit save changes and exit. And then it will allow you to actually exit, and whenever you load Pokemon Sword again, it will be in that exact spot you left it in the box that you chose for your game. I'm going to go ahead and move this one back over. And that kind of covers a lot of the basics of what you can do on the Switch version. Like I said, it's pretty limited. However, the only other major thing that I would recommend being able to do is to actually go, and you can actually go to, if you view your Pokemon again, and you go into Pokemon Home, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a cleaner workflow that you can work with. You can search for Pokemon a lot easier, and you can see at the bottom, you can see all their stats, what moves they have, and then you can also click on a Pokemon. When you check its summary, you'll be able to see where you met it, what the Pokemon ID number is, the original trainer, the ability, if it has a held item. You can also click the plus button when you're in this screen, and it will tell you if there's any games that it can go to, and at this moment, this Pokemon doesn't have any, so there's nothing here to show. Now, if you want to, you can actually view the base points by pressing Y, and to view the base points, basically what this means is it shows you the base points of a Pokemon, and the yellow is actually its growth, and then the darker color in the middle is actually its EV growth. So if you're trying to EV train a Pokemon, you can actually see how good the EV training is going, and when it's maxed out, it'll actually be touching whatever you're trying to train. So if you're trying to max out attack, you'd actually see that darker yellow circle, or that yellow shape, actually shoot out and actually be touching the very edge where it says attack. So you'd know that that's been maxed out. And you can also press Y again to be a judge. And basically what the judge function is I think it's a little bit better than what it actually is in Pokemon Sword and Shield. It actually tells you it tells you the general thing like it normally does inside of Pokemon Sword and Shield, where it says good stats, excellent stats, perfect stats, whatever, best stats. But I like it a little bit more because it actually shows you like that the red text is actually boosting that skill, the blue text is actually decreasing that skill. Because that's a little bit confusing, I think, for some people to actually conceptualize. Because a lot of the time people think red is bad, red's stop, red's lower. So that actually is a thing of contention that a lot of people see, is that they actually think that the red text is actually the bad stat and the blue text is actually the good stat. However, in Pokemon, it's the exact opposite. Now, if a Pokemon has the best IVs they possibly can, like this Tropius here, has a best in attack and a best in speed. So what that means is that they're touching the very edges. So that means that it has perfect IVs in those two stats. And you can kind of see how how the stats kind of reflect what the text actually says. And I like this a little bit more than what is actually in the game for Pokemon Sword and Shield. And then if you want to, you can actually click X, and then you actually view a list view, and you'll have a lot of different things that you can do. Whenever you actually go to sort a Pokemon out, you can actually sort them by pressing Y, and you can actually sort by a ton of different options. You can press X button to filter, and there's a ton of different filter options that you can do, so you can really narrow down trying to find a Pokemon. And they actually have some really interesting filter options this time around, such as being able to see what nature they have, see what moves they have, see what original trainer they had. So if you have a Pokemon that's from a certain trainer, that's an easy way to find them. You can even check shiny status, which is actually really cool, I think. So if you have any shiny Pokemon in your 200 boxes of Pokemon that you have collected, then being able to just sort by shiny is very cool. Being able to just find those quickly. And you can also search by compatible games. So you can click this and go to Sword and Shield, and this will show you all of the Pokemon that you can transfer to that said game. So I think this will be a really good feature to have as the Pokemon games progress inside of the Switch, and being able to see what Pokemon you can transfer between certain games. I think that'll be extremely beneficial. And then a couple of the other things that you can do, which aren't exactly like massive, but they are kind of cool to look at. We are going to be looking at the settings now. And if you actually go down here to the settings, you have a notebook, and the notebook essentially lets you see history and records. So history actually tells you what time and what day that you actually did a transfer, if you withdrew a Pokemon, deposited a Pokemon, and it's pretty cool in the way that you can actually click on that and you can actually see what exactly happened in that specific time, that specific day. And you can see that there was a Ponyta that was withdrawn on this day at 8:58. So that's pretty cool that you can actually see like kind of a history of when you're withdrawing, when you're depositing Pokemon. And then records, it's a little bit similar, but it's a little bit simpler as well. I mean, it just tells you how many Pokemon you've deposited, withdrawn, how many days you visited, how many Pokemon you traded with your mobile device, and how many points you've earned in your battle points. So you can actually go, and the next thing is going to be for move. So if you actually have the 3DS, you can actually move it here, or you can move it on the application on your phone, which is what I chose to do. However, moving is extremely easy. All you have to have is the 3DS, and if you have the 3DS, then it's going to be extremely easy because all you have to do is boot up your game and then go to the Pokemon Bank, or boot up your system, go to Pokemon Bank. It's going to give you a code on the screen here, and you can just type that code in on the 3DS, and then it's going to sync your Pokemon Home and Pokemon Bank accounts together, and you're going to be able to transfer all your Pokemon really easy. Now for the next thing, you actually get these things that are called points, home points inside of Pokemon Home. And basically what you can do is you can convert those, as you can see, you can get 1 battle point per 30 points. So right now I have 3,000, so I can actually convert into 100 battle points and use them in Pokemon Sword. Now I think that they might actually release more things than just battle points, however I could be wrong about that. But I think that it's kind of good just to hang on to them right now and just kind of see how the battle point thing and the conversion is going to progress. And I think they might actually release more things for these points to be spent on as time goes on, but I could be wrong as well. I think I'm just going to save them for a little bit though, like I said, maybe wait till the first expansion comes out and then decide whatever they want to do with them to see if they try to do anything else with them. So that way I have points for it if they do release anything. That's pretty interesting. And then that pretty much about wraps it up. You can actually I would highly recommend just checking out Pokemon Home. They have a free version, so you don't actually have to pay. And a lot of the features are available for free users. The only thing that paid users get over the free users, for the most part, is just expanded capabilities. So you're going to be looking at, like, for example, the free version, you can only get 30 Pokemon at home. However, with the paid version, you can get over 200 boxes or 6,000 Pokemon, which is going to be double what Pokemon Bank could hold. And also, if you've ever had Pokemon Bank, or if you've ever had a 3DS game and still want to be able to transfer your Pokemon, Pokemon Bank right now actually has 30 days of free for everybody that's on Nintendo 3DS. So if you have a Nintendo 3DS and you want to transfer your Pokemon, these 30 days are very crucial, because after that, Pokemon Bank's going to start costing money again. So if you actually want to be able to transfer your Pokemon for free, then I would highly recommend hopping on your 3DS this month and just going over, transferring your Pokemon real quick, so that way they're already on Pokemon Home and you'll have them available to you if you ever want to use them in the future. And I hope that was a helpful video for you guys. And if you guys have any other questions about the Nintendo Switch version of Pokemon Home, feel free to drop a comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next one.